go out west. I'm gonna find us a place where we can raise a family. I'll come back for you.
We've been running with the devil and it ain't no lie. Living in the shadows of the pale moonlight. She been running with the angels everyone could see. God-fearing church going honestly. That silver-tongued devil swept her off her feet. Promised her the world just to steal her dreams. He knew it was coming, it was his last night. Lord, when they caught him, should have heard him cry. Good Lord willing, in the creek don't rise town. Folk hollering, hang him up high. Sin is sin in the good Lord's eye, and the hangman's waiting just to watch you die. Dead man walking.
We've just pushed up. We're now in the Snowdwon area. I'm not going to say specifically where for obvious reasons. As you can see, Adam is pitching his tent. No, we are not fucking cohabitating. I'm going to pitch my tent here. Planning to then get a hot scoff on for the evening. The benefit of us doing this is twofold. A, obviously you're able to create content for the Hard to Kill program, which is phenomenal. Secondary to that, I can actually test now the foods, like the dehydrated fucking foods that I'm going to be using on the MDS. So there's two benefits to that. So we're going to get a hot scoff on, try and get some calories back in the system. Then I'm going to go for a mooch and source a water source, get enough water in for the evening, then bed down, have a cuddle, a bedtime story. What are we reading tonight, Adam?
Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig for tonight. We'll recognise this as an MSR Hubba Hubba, which is, by all accounts, and all the experiences I've had with it, a fucking brilliant tent. This is probably the coldest and wettest I'll have had it out in. Not the coldest actually, that's a lie. Definitely the wettest under hoof. So we'll see how it performs tonight. How's the real mill butt treating you butter, fucking Harry?
That's really nice.
Fucking wild tasty, aren't they?
Amazing.
Like, it's a very small company owned by a guy currently still in the mill. He's a fucking really, really nice guy. Like ridiculously nice guy. And what I like about them as a brand is they're actually committed to using like real ingredients. What I mean by that is there are a lot of companies who without doubt have a much higher profit margin, but if you care to do a bit of behind the scenes research and look at the ingredient profile as to what's going into the fucking products, it's fucking shite. Oh, that's a wet foot. Yeah, it's fucking shite. Whereas the real meal bar, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It literally is a real meal's worth of cows. I think in that bar I gave you, Harry, there is circa, and I might get this wrong, so I apologise, but I think it's about 650 cows, 27 protein, about fucking 70 to 80 grams of carbs, and the remainder fat, about 20 grams of fat. So it's a fucking really complete macro profile, especially for times and events like today. And obviously it's going to be brilliant for the MDS as well. When you're on your feet all fucking day, haven't really got a time to fuck about making a hot scoff. You just get one of them cracked out. Believe it or not, you can actually use this MDS tent. MDS? Fucking on the brain. This MSR tent without the top cover on. You can literally have it like this. I wouldn't get much out of it tonight because there's no fucking stars out, and it is also Baltic. But in spring and summer months, you can get a great fucking panoramic vista of the sky night by not putting a top cover on. This will be the mug that I use for the MDS, but you can't, again, thing that's not readily known is you can't take any gas or any gas burners on the MDS. You have to buy fuel from them, and then they basically turn up at your bivouac on fucking day one with your solid fuel box, and it's up to you to figure out a way of utilising those. So this is actually the first time I've used this tiny little fucking MSR jobby in the wild. I actually got pointed onto these by Ali McDonald from Resilient Nutrition, because I was using the more commonly known dehydrated food brands. I won't name them, but it's like Black and Orange. Ultimately, again, same detail as Real Meal. The opposition, yeah, maybe a little bit cheaper, but the ingredients are nowhere near where you'd expect them to be. Whereas Firepot, I'm given under fantastic instruction by Ali, are a brilliant company, both from the ingredients they use and also the sustainability of the processes to facilitate the production. Per pack, 925 calories, 31 fat, 117 carb, and 41 protein. One consideration that you have to make if you're going to melt snow, especially if there's been strenuous activity involved, is essentially almost all of the electrolyte value has been removed from the fluid. So somewhere in there, I've got my precision hydration electrolyte tabs, and they'll be getting deployed in the morning. These do a brilliant job of having loads of salt in, but if you are going out in the mountains and you're basically fucking hanging out for a full day, and then you're only using melted snow as your fluid source, which I wouldn't recommend, we're only using it for eating purposes, then do be aware you're going to create something like an electrolyte deficit, notably sodium, magnesium, etc., which can lead to issues starting with cramp and going as severe as you want to talk about with that. So just something to think about if you are going to melt snow. But it is really convenient. Just make sure you've got either electrolyte tablets or something of some form to bang into you so you don't start suffering a really bad cramp, which will be a lot worse if it's cold as well. Yesterday was 2 loops of 12 and a bit miles each. So the first loop on my own held some good pace, then I met obviously with you, Harry, and Adam, and we got another one done. So 25 miles in the bag yesterday, which is by far my longest training event so far, carrying, including water, 25 pounds. Realistically, looking back, my body felt good for the vast majority, apart from I got my fueling a little bit wrong when I was doing the fast loop the first time around, which is easy to do in the cold weather because you don't feel like drinking. It's a real determined effort, and it takes real discipline. Anyone who's done like endurance events in the cold knows you just don't want to drink. Your mind's like, oh, I just can't bother, I'll just do it later, because you're imbibing cold fluid, just makes you feel colder. I managed to rectify that, so I was aware of it and rectified it within about 30 minutes, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, 25 miles then yesterday, then we had a quick kit change and then tabbed out on foot to where we camped last night. That's the first time I've done MDS-esque distances and then slept out overnight. And I slept like a fucking baby, as you can anticipate that you would after that event. That being said, the weather was typically Welsh. So it was, air temp was -4, including wind chill was -11. Some pretty spicy winds, but I slept the night relatively well. This morning, just done a little bit more stuff from a content perspective, which you'll see on the Instagram in coming weeks and months. So yeah, really productive and successful weekend on all fronts. Now the obvious elephant in the room is, mate, you're preparing for the fucking Sahara. You're not preparing to be in the snow, so on and so forth. And while that's absolutely a valid comment, the reality is, what's the alternative? You're in January in the United Kingdom. There is no way you're going to get anywhere near the temperature. So it's just a simple case of controlling the controllables. And from my perspective, hard stuff is hard stuff. Like, we're going to face real stress associated with the heat, but you can also experience real stress associated with the cold. And the whole thing we want to take away from this was getting some decent distance in the bag, and then having a night like under the stars, essentially in not favourable conditions. It also allowed me to test some of the food choices I'm going to be using. So the calories yesterday were pretty representative of what I'll be using on the event. I was using the Firepot foods. I used some cream of rice, Real Meal bars, and the Resilient Nutrition nut butter, which I finished with breakfast this morning, which was really fucking good. And yeah, gotta say, body bar a little bit of ache in my left hamstring, body feels pretty good. Energy is not too bad. Could I have got up and done another 25 miles today? I actually think, yeah, I could. As soon as you get, like, obviously there's always a little bit of friction. There's always a little bit, oh, fucking, I feel stiff and sore and cold and I can't be fucking bothered. But normally within like the first half an hour and you get going and the catecholamines and adrenaline are pumping, you're pretty much going to be all right. So yeah, I feel really pretty confident off the back of that. Temperature wise, you know, there's not really much we can do. That's a controllable. That is a variable. It's outside of our control. So we are going to be doing some heat chamber stuff in later episodes, moving more towards the event. A couple of weeks before the event, we'll be doing some heat chamber stuff, which obviously we'll be demonstrating and showing you. But for us now, it's literally a case of turning up fit, getting the time on the feet, getting the miles in the legs, like learning to rough it. Because one of the variables people don't really take into consideration is that it's almost a survival event, the MDS. Like, if you were to do those distances and then you were in fantastic accommodation and you were properly nourished and hydrated and you're getting great sleep, it'd actually be really easy. Now you're going to be in a bivouac, you fucking in the sand, in basically a giant fucking litter tray, people admin their fucking stinking feet next to your head, like the toilets aren't great, so on and so forth. So if you have an ability and a capacity to just sort of survive or stay conditioned and have, you know, a degree of smile on your face about it and take in everything that you're being exposed to and just experience the experiences, then by all accounts you're going to perform to a much greater extent on the day. So that's pretty much it. That's the end of episode 3, I believe this is now. Thank you for watching. It's been enjoyable and challenging to get to one of the can, but would love to hear your feedback. Would love to hear if it's been of value to you, if you've learned from it, and even if, again, it's encouraged one person to do something they wouldn't ordinarily have done, to get out in the hills or mountains, to do some fucking camping, to just go out, get out, be active, and start asking questions about what it is you can do, what it is that you are capable of, then it's been a resounding success.